Next on Max TV, we take a look at firepower. Pacquiao overwhelms Cotto, and we preview the Super 6. Andre Ward takes on Miguel Cotto. Coming up on the next round. And welcome to the next round, brought to you by Everlast. Gabe Montoya, Steve Kim, talking boxing once again, and we begin round number 1. It is firepower indeed, and it was Pac-Man fever for the WBO welterweight title of the world. Manny Pacquiao systematically dismantles Miguel Cotto, stopping him in the 12th and final round. Gabe, this fight to me was a great fight for about 3 or 4 rounds, and then it became a great performance afterwards by Manny Pacquiao.
Oh, yeah. It was actually kind of funny. After that second round, which I thought was the best round of the fight, it was competitive anyways, the Boxing Writers Association president leans over and goes, I think we may have to add this fight to the ballot this year. And then, about 3 or 4 rounds later, or 2 rounds later, after Cotto's been dropped twice, it just turned into a one-sided beating, and he leaned over and said, well, maybe not.
Maybe what Manny Pacquiao should be added is Fighter of the Year.
Absolutely.
And I think perhaps Fighter of the Decade. We'll get to that later. Here's what I thought. Miguel Cotto early on, I thought did something very interesting. He jabbed from the outside, had some success. Then he had the fight exactly where he wanted it, you would think. Manny Pacquiao retreating, back to the ropes, banging away, and really nailing Manny Pacquiao with some good hard shots. And this was the hardest, most physical fight Pacquiao's been in since, I believe, the first fight with Marquez. But I thought psychologically, when he did his version of the rope-a-dope and he withstood it with a smile, I think mentally that had to sort of break down Miguel Cotto a little bit. Because if he can't beat him this way, he was not going to beat him from the outside.
No, I thought Cotto started out very smart. He was very compact. He was working behind a double jab, and he seemed to be getting to Manny, quite a bit. But then, he made the mistake. He started to land a little bit too much, and Pacquiao started to open up. And so Cotto tried to match him. And it was once they started getting into those exchanges, maybe the first 2-3 punches were even, but Manny would land 4 and 5, and Cotto wouldn't see them coming. And that's really where he started to take off. And then when he freestyled off the game plan and went to the ropes, much like we see him do in the gym all the time, and just let Cotto unload on his body, and it had no effect whatsoever. Yeah, the fight was over.
It's almost as if Manny's ribs are coated in Kevlar, because it does seem bulletproof. That's an uncanny ability. Some people talk about having great chins. He has great ribs. But I thought, to me, you're right. The tempo of this fight was very interesting in the sense that when was Juan Manuel Marquez the most successful? From the outside, slowing down the tempo. It's like a basketball game. Yeah. A team that wants to play 94 feet of fast break basketball, they don't want the ball to be in the half court. You have to kind of play half-court Princeton-style basketball against the Manny Pacquiao. Jab from the outside, right, control him from the perimeter, and make sure there's not a lot of heavy leather being exchanged. Yeah. Once there's a lot of leather being thrown on both sides, I think it's very difficult to outfight Manny Pacquiao, because not only does he have great hand speed, he also has great power in the footwork. I thought the angles were absolutely key, that there were exchanges in there where Miguel Cotto was reacting to the first 2 or 3 punches coming at him. Then from the side, it almost seems at times, Gabe, he didn't see stuff coming his way.
Oh, not at all. That uppercut, the second one that dropped him, he didn't see it coming at all. It was like they exchange, man, he slipped to the side, and bang, this uppercut came out from nowhere. I just thought Manny Pacquiao was sheer brilliance, man. It was a beautiful thing to watch, and coming out of the fight, most times you see something competitive like that, you say, what a great fight. And out of this one, you said, what a great performance.
Yeah, Miguel Cotto was courageous, though. I thought that corner should have stopped that fight between rounds 8, 9, or 10. I think that Joe Santiago, in a way, wanted to prove to Freddie, I can take a fighter to the distance, and I thought that was very, very misguided courage. It reminded me of that old saying from Sonny Liston when I think he busted up some guy. I think it was Chuck Wepner. Guy had like 85 stitches, and someone asked Sonny Liston, was that the bravest fighter you ever fought? And Sonny Liston just deadpan and goes, no, his corner was. And that's exactly the type of feeling that I got, that in the middle to late rounds, I looked at the body language, the facial expression of Miguel Cotto, some of the damage being done to his tissue. It looked like Antonio Margarito all over again. Yeah, it really did. And once he starts bouncing around on the outside, circling the canvas, he is not what I'd call a pure traditional boxer. When he takes that tactic, folks, he's trying to run out the clock, because that is a full-blown retreat.
Yeah, he was trying to get to the final bell. And credit to him, he was brave as hell. He was bleeding. He was beat up. I mean, I thought almost worse in some ways than the Margarito fight. And it wasn't like he was ever really doing that well, for 2 rounds. It was really like, a 10-round beating. It was interesting before the fight, and I think Manny's answered a lot of questions here. I was talking to Nazim Richardson at the Mosley Berto press conference, and he said the greatest trick Manny Pacquiao has pulled on all of you is that he's convinced you he's small. And he's like, yeah, he's a smallish welterweight, But he's a welterweight at this point. He's a guy that can carry 140 to probably like 145 and do it very well. His power is there. His speed is maintained. He was 112 pounds, but he was 15 and 16 years old. Well, he's 30 now, and he's grown into this weight. And I don't think there's any, after this point, the cat's out of the bag. After this fight, everybody knows that he's not a tiny guy coming into the fight.
Gabe, as one of my friends pointed out to me, the big fallacy of him being a small little guy starting at 106, back then he could afford a bowl of rice and that's it. And if you take a look at his legs, specifically his calf area, he's built like an outside linebacker, and that's why he has that great explosion and the ability to change direction and explode and to accelerate. You look at the technical development guided by Freddie Roach, one of the master craftsmen. This is his Rembrandt. This is his Michelangelo. This is his Picasso. Yeah. You take a look at that technical development from the David Diaz fight on. There used to be a point, and it was only 2-3 years ago, people still thought of Manny Pacquiao as a one-dimensional, left-handed offensive firebrand. Now he's two-dimensional. I think the right hook is every bit as good as the left hand. And he hit Miguel Cotto with some blind shots, and they came right up the middle. Footwork, balance, alignment is much improved. You say what you want. Manny Pacquiao is the greatest blend of speed and power the game has today, and technically, I think he's caught up to his athleticism.
Absolutely. What was interesting was he was kind of, a one-handed bandit in this fight, or one-armed bandit. He was using the right, though, this time. He kind of really saves the left hand for when it's absolutely necessary. But he was owning Cotto from the outside. He was catching him with a counter hook. He was catching him with a lead hook. It was just amazing to see it. Like, we had talked about this, that how many guys can you see that actually leave their feet and still can kind of land and plant and land their shot with such power and precision? It's a rare thing to see.
And up and down. There are combinations. We'd go to the body, to the head, to the body, to the head, and then he would step to the side. And Miguel Cotto looked like a guy trying to fight off a swarm of hornets or bees, and he just couldn't do it at one time. And another thing, this guy's tough. Miguel Cotto is the type of guy, if he could hurt you and physically dominate you early, then he's going to snowball on you and give you the Avalanche Effect. He stood up to Miguel Cotto's best stuff, smiled through it, and I thought it was stunning. I never thought I'd see this. 9, 10, 11, when Miguel Cotto starts circling and playing four corners, it was him being chased out of the ring. To me, of all the scenarios, that was the most inconceivable.
Yeah, that was kind of insane to see. And if there's a flaw, maybe that was the one. Granted, Pacquiao was up huge at that point. He didn't need to pursue Cotto, and it was a credit to him that he did go for the knockout. But when Miguel was moving, one thing was Manny was not cutting off the ring quite as well as I would like to have seen. He kind of waited and instead invited, Cotto, like, what are you doing? Get in here and fight with me. And I wonder, as we look forward to his future matchup, how's that going to play out against a pure mover like Mayweather?
Well, here's the thing. You'd have to think if Freddie Roach said, we're going to work on 10 things to beat Miguel Cotto, cutting off the ring may have been the 15th on the list. There's a lot of scenarios, but I don't think Cotto completely running out the clock was one of them. And let's go down the line. Floyd Mayweather, that's the fight everyone wants. I want to say it right now. If the pay-per-views do more than 1 million, and this gate was significantly higher in real ticket sales compared to Mayweather-Marquez, I think you're going to have a tough time making this fight right now. You really are, because both sides are going to say 60-40, and we're going to have Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones circa 2002 all over again.
Well, if you're a Floyd fan, I know what to get him for Christmas, a mirror, so he could see who he actually is, and just admit it, you're not as big of a star. You used to be, you were the man, you retired for 2 years, and then while you were gone, Manny Pacquiao took your spot.
Gabe, isn't there more pressure on Floyd to make this fight than Manny?
Absolutely.
Manny right now is the cat's meow.
Yeah.
He's gotten mainstream coverage for a guy that does not speak English. This fight, I think, did better financially. We're going to find out tomorrow on Tuesday. And yet people want to see Manny Pacquiao, because if you put him in with similar opponents, while Floyd Mayweather is brilliant in his own way, he's not nearly as fun or entertaining.
Manny Pacquiao fights the way we want fighters to fight. He's got speed, he's got power, and most of all, he's aggressive and he's tough. He's willing to take risks to get that knockout, which is what, I don't care what all the Mayweather fans say to me. I love to watch a 12-round decision because of his technical mastery. That's quite honestly, that's bullshit. What we want to see is some guy knock some other dude out. I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's basic schoolyard mentality. Everybody circles, and you want to see somebody hit the ground.
Yeah,
that's
Mayweather fans say that because that is their out. But last I checked, when they say, oh, my God, what he does is exquisite and it's a work of art. You know what, folks? How many times in the past 5 years have you been to a museum? Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Now, taking a look at the all-time status, people are now, including myself, are saying that Manny Pacquiao has to be considered among the all-time greats. Gabe, I've made my point clear. I think it's hard to compare a fighter from 1910 to 2010 or in 1950 to 1980. But I think you have to make these comparisons generation by generation. For the record, I think all-time great status, I think is in the top 25 at least, maybe higher. Other people like Rich Murata that I respect, a true historian, and Bert Sugar, they have him in the top 10, which I find to be amazing.
Wow.
But from this generation, I say from 1990 on, let's say the last 2 decades, I think Manny Pacquiao is numero uno. You take a look at what he's done and how he's done it, the rivalry he's had, the consistency and the improvement and the entertainment value. You could have Roy Jones, you could have Bernard Hopkins, you could have Floyd Mayweather, you could have a lot of guys. My guy is Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, I would agree with you. You know, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon or anything, but, you know, this is a 7-division title list. Now, if we didn't have those little, you know, junior belts, then he'd probably just be a 4-division champion, you know, at this point. Yeah. But when you look at, I'm a little on the fence about this being a title fight. Well, I'm not really on the fence. I don't think it was a title fight. To me, one, it was a vacant belt that Cotto was fighting for, and two, if you're going to fight for a champion's belt, then you don't make him come down in a catch weight. I don't care how much money you bring to the table. But still, he took one of the top fighters in the division, and he blew him out. And you know, he could have you know, picked a Carlos Baldemir type or somebody like that was really tailor-made for him. But he took on Cotto, and he took his best shots, and he beat him. I think he's at least top 25. I would agree with you.
Yeah, Miguel Cotto 145 under any condition is better than Carlos Baldemir.
Yeah.
I don't care if it was a linear title, a ring championship, a vacant WBO. It doesn't matter. Cotto is better than Baldemir. Real quickly, the undercard. Here's the thing. Soto Karass Gomez, I got kind of semi-credit for the upset special because I thought Soto Karass was starting to turn the tide after losing the majority of the rounds. I'd actually like to see a rematch. I don't think they want any part of it, the Gomez team. I think they'll go on to another fight.
Yeah.
Yuri Foreman conclusively outboxed Daniel Santos. I give him credit for that, but when I get these emails, people say, well, it wasn't quite as bad as you said, Steve. You know, that's like saying, I don't have AIDS, I just have gonorrhea. At the end of the day, you still have gonorrhea. I'm sorry, it was still not a good fight. And Chavez Jr., I'm sorry, I respect Yuri Foreman. I'll tell you what, gets everything out of his ability, and he's a professional. Yeah. I respect it. To me, Chavez Jr. is a spoiled kid who's enabled to do a lot of things. And you know what? He's not that good. He's not getting better. He truly is Julio Cesar Butterbean.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, the lack of work ethic shows. By 5 or 6, a guy his age, all tired and clinching and not throwing that much. I mean, there's no steam on his punches whatsoever. I have no interest in seeing him yet again. But I will say, you know, to Foreman's credit, he scored actually 2 wins that night. He got a decision, and he knocked me out. He put me right to sleep.
Well, that's the funniest thing. People could say what they want, and Bob Arum can flip off people ringside and think that he's been validated somehow. Me and you pointed this out. Look at the crowd, inside the arena. People were bored to death.
To death.
To death. I even took a crapper during the Chavez fight. I actually tweeted, I took a crap. Chavez looked like one. This was a great night for boxing. I think Manny Pacquiao bailed out Bob Arum to a certain degree. When a performance like that takes place, you forget about what happens. But I think down the line, again, one of the advantages, and I'm not an MMA guy, but one thing I do like about the UFC, they just don't give you a main event. They give you a show. They give you a card. That's exactly what boxing needs to do.
Absolutely. You know, they really need to. I think all the promoters need to start kind of mixing and matching. Hey, I don't have enough fighters to make a decent undercard. What do you have? You know, you could have Golden Boy through some guys in there. You know, and consolidate a little bit because it was unbelievably quiet for a room full of 16,000 people.
Who are rabid fans.
Yeah, I could have just yelled like Manny Pacquiao, and the crowd would have went crazy because they all would have heard me because nobody was saying anything. You know, it was horrible. I mean, the Gomez fight was to its credit, you know, it was exciting for as long as it lasted. It was a little bit, you know, head clashes and a little bit ugly, but you know, they both came to fight. Foreman, you know, he came to take a title by fighting from the outside, and that's just not compelling to me.
Yes.
And Chavez, he came to get a paycheck and then go party.
As Dennis Green would say, to paraphrase him, Chavez is who we thought he was, but certainly do not crown him. Well, that's it for Firepower. We come back, we take a look at the Super 6. And we are back on the next round, brought to you by Everlast. Round number 2, we go to the Oracle in Oakland, California. It's showtime. And yes, it is the Super 6. Round 1 concludes for the WBA Super Middleweight title of the world. Mikkel Kessler takes on the strength of God, Andre Ward. Oh, my God. Last week I called you Lego my ego because you were waffling. Are you waffling now? Are you sticking with Andre Ward, Gabriel?
I am sticking with Andre Ward. I think he is more versatile. I think the best is yet to come for him. I don't think we've seen the best Andre Ward, and I think this Saturday we will. I just think he can move to the side, he can box from the outside, he can brawl a little bit. He's going to bring all that to bear to take on kind of a one-dimensional, it's a very nice dimension, but a one-dimensional Kessler.
Gabe, I say this with all due respect. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. It is Miguel Kessler all the way. I'm sorry, Andre Ward, I like Andre Ward. He's a nice guy, he's skilled. Here's the problem. He's untested. Can you name me a top 35 guy? No, and Edison Miranda does not count. Miguel Kessler is going to be able to neutralize Andre Ward very simply with the most fundamental punch in boxing, the jab. I know Ward's going to do a lot of things on the outside. He's going to be quick. He's going to be flashy. There's another thing. I think Kessler has a better chin. I think he's better tested. He's got a very good right hand. But we've seen this in round one. This is at the Oracle. This is the home canvas of Andre Ward. That does concern me. But I'm going with Miguel Kessler because, again, I go with seasoning, and I really believe Miguel Kessler, before this Super 6, he was my pick to win it. I think he wins this fight.
I just think you take away the Joe Calzaghe fight, which he lost, and what else is there really on Kessler's resume? There's not a hell of a lot there. I don't think he really adjusts well. And here's the thing. If the jab isn't working, if Andre Ward has figured out a way to neutralize that, well, what else does he have? He's got a right hand. That's probably, not easily avoided. I think he's going to land and test Ward's chin at some point. But to me, I just think Ward has more tools. You can fight southpaw, and I actually think he fights better at southpaw. I haven't really seen Kessler beat a lot of southpaws. To me, it's just there's a lot of intangibles. I totally agree. He's untested. You take away Edison Miranda, who's not, really, he's kind of resurging, but that's not really the best name in the world to say. Well, of course, he could beat Kessler off of that. But to me, I just have a gut feeling about it. I've liked Ward since the beginning. He's my dark horse pick to get to the final round, and I'm going to stick with him.
The one thing that does concern me, let's go purely on style, which has nothing to do with resume. Kessler's what I call, again, a locomotive. He's a guy that likes to come forward on that track, but how do you avoid a locomotive? You move this much, and it'll breathe right past you. He's kind of a straight-line fighter with that jab. And a little bit of lateral movement where he has to continue to reset his feet may put him off balance. So the athleticism and the fluidity of Andre Ward is going to give him fits. I just wonder, does he hit hard enough or is he active enough like a Joe Calzaghe to keep that ramrod jab off of him? That's the question, Gabe, that I have.
Yeah, I think late in the fight we're going to see either a lot of running or a lot of clinching, maybe the last 4 rounds from Ward. If he's not able to, stun Kessler at all or catch him with something he doesn't see, then he's going to get on his bicycle, and it's going to be interesting to see who lands those are going to be close rounds, and it'll be interesting to see who lands the solid punches. And in San Jose, are they going to say, well, the defense of Ward wins versus
again, home canvas advantage. This fight is in Oakland, California. He is an Oaktown native. He's a Bay Area guy. I think there's going to be a lot of close rounds where, again, judging is an art form where you have to be objective, but it's really a subjective art form.
It is.
This whole judging thing. And do you like the defensive guy or do you like the guy steadily coming forward? I don't think we're going to see a lot of heavy exchanges, to be honest with you. I think we're going to see a very interesting chess match, which is another way of saying maybe it might be a little bit boring, but I think how they judge this fight is going to be absolutely key. Do you like the guy that's steady with the jab or seems to be doing a lot from the outside? I think that's the question. I just like Kessler. I think he's a little bit stronger fighter, and I think he has the fundamental grounding to offset a lot of the athleticism of Ward.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a leaky defense. It's gotten a little bit better with Ward. He picks things off, he slips things a little bit better, but the kitchen is kind of wide open. His hands are a little low. And they're not quite tucked to his chin, and so the opening is there. What I'm curious to see is if he's going to slip to the side and step around and do something with that, or either he's got to have to mix his defense and his offense at the same time. Maybe if he just takes a little bit as he moves along. What Ward can't do is just move, or just be on offense. He's going to have to do both.
Yes. Well, there you have it. Kessler Ward wrapping up the first round of the Super 6. We come back. We go to news and notes. And we wrap it up here on the next round, brought to you by Everlast. We have news and notes and some nearly tragic news. Z Gores on Friday night was hospitalized after his bout with Louis Melendez at the Mandalay Bay House of Blues. Gabe, I was out there for this fight. The last couple of rounds I saw, and it was very interesting. A very nondescript fight. Was not exactly Ward Gaddy. In the last 30, 40 seconds, he gets hit with a big shot. He gets knocked down, survives, gets his hands raised in victory. And at that point, it's like his body unplugged. And he was taken out on a stretcher and a gurney, oxygen, and now there's different reports that he's in critical but stable condition. That's why I thought it was very interesting that the commission a day after this happened would allow Miguel Cotto to take that shellacking. I just thought that was very strange. And it goes to show you, again, just how dangerous this game is. See, I'm not that much of a guy that says, oh, fighters should never quit. I disagree. I think there is a time and a place to call it a day. And this was stunning. I don't blame anyone involved. I don't blame the corner. I don't blame the fighters themselves. I don't blame the referee. Nobody could have seen the reaction of Zgoris coming.
No, it was shocking. It was surprising. You can't. Subdural hematoma is the one injury you can't see. And until it's too late. I was thinking the same thing. We were watching the Cotto fight, and we were talking about it. Like, this fight's kind of done.
Yeah.
At around 10, when he's just running away, and Pacquiao's landing like one big shot, but not able to get two off. It was really on Kenny Bayless. It was really, more than anything, on Joe Santiago to throw in that towel. I mean, it was just hanging over the fight. Like, this is how guys, get ruined for life.
And not to place blame on anyone, this is the second fighter from the Allah gym in the Philippines that has collapsed after a fight. When I was in Hawaii, AJ Banal, bright young prospect, a couple hours after his fight, when we go back to the fight hotel, he was being carried to the car for observation. Wow. I'm just wondering what's going on there. Is there a problem with nutrition? Are they sparring too much? It could be several factors there. But if I'm that gym, I kind of look at the way I'm doing things with my fighters and just try to examine, are we doing best we can to ensure the health and safety of our boxers?
Absolutely.
Taking a look at the fight preview, Saturday on Telemundo, Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. takes on Genaro Garcia. Saturday in Canada for the WBO junior bantamweight title, Marvin Sonsana makes the first defense against Alejandro Hernandez, and Saturday in Mexico for the WBC junior flyweight title, Edgar Sosa takes on Rodel Mayol. Sonsana is a guy. He's southpaw, he's Filipino, he's young, he throws a lot of punches. Wait a minute, we've heard that formula before somewhere, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. He's an all-action fighter. He's an exciting guy. I expect him to take this fight.
Yeah, and he's very young, though. That's the thing. A lot of upside, and Samson Lekowitz knows how to pick this talent. In fact, Samson had something to do with Manny Pacquiao coming over here. He believes he has, if not the next Pac-Man, maybe the next really exciting Filipino superstar. And Edgar Sosa, Rodel Mayol, I like this fight. I think it's a very good fight. I'm going to try to watch it somewhere. Rodel Mayol, to me, has to be thankful for one reason. He's not fighting Ivan Calderon again. I think Sosa's a much easier style. Not saying he's going to win, but stylistically a much better fight.
Yeah, it's a guy that he's not going to have to look for all night long. Calderon is a boxing stylist, if you will, and which means...
You mean boring?
Yeah, he's kind of boring. He's a runner. he's a technical guy. I love to watch him box, but I know, I better have all my, food and my beer and
Gabe,
just settle in.
I like to watch him box for about 4 rounds, and then I need to move on to the next fight, okay? Let's be very honest about that. Wrapping it up here with tidbits, January 30th, Andre Berto, Shane Mosley is finally finalized. It is now official, Mandalay Bay on HBO. Then Israel Vasquez, Rafael Marquez 4. Folks, this fight is alive and well, and I think it will happen. Going back up top, you were at the press conference this weekend in Vegas. Will the fight be as good as their war on Twitter?
It won't be as funny, but it'll definitely be as good, I think. I'll make my early prediction now. I think Shane wins this one. Not easy. I think it'll be competitive for like half. Shane takes it over late, and I think he may stop Andre Berto.
Chin.
Yeah.
I like one guy's chin a lot better, and you know which one that is.
Well, one guy has a chin.
And I think Shane Mosley has to be a little bit angry, but interesting decision. Why would you make this fight when if you just wait another week or two, you could kind of be in the running for Manny Pacquiao? I thought that was very strange.
I don't think Manny Pacquiao wants any part of Shane Mosley.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, he made every concession and said, look, this is what I'll do. I'll come down to 112 if you want and fight you. And Manny, they balked at it, and I think they're going to have to pick and choose their welterweights. Manny's not a welterweight. I think he's better served to be a 140-pounder. But I think this fight will be exciting. I think Andre Berto is going to really rely on his speed. I think he's going to try to stink the joint out a little bit. But to me, he said, the reason he's going to win is because he's the fastest guy that Shane's ever fought. Well, I'm sure he was the fastest guy that Juan Arango had ever fought, too, and we saw that fight.
I think refereeing is going to be key. I think I made this point before. You got to get a referee like Keith Hughes.
Yeah.
If you get a guy like Keith Hughes who says, okay, after 2 clinches, I'm penalizing, and Andre Berto and Shane Mosley cannot just clinch and hug on the inside if they have to throw leather, then I think we have a good fight.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, though, Andre Berto, I just don't trust him anymore to make good fights. That's just my personal opinion. And Vasquez Marquez, here's what I think happened. I think both sides got together and said, you know what, let's not screw around. There's no way we want to face Juanma Lopez. We don't want to face Yuri Gamboa. We don't want to fight Celestino Caballero. And still the most money is facing each other. Let's put everything aside. It may not be as worth as much as it was, let's say, last year, but it's not last year anymore. We're going to make this money. I heard about $1.6 million on the table for both fighters. You know what? I think they got to split it and make the fourth fight.
Yeah, just make the fight. You know, although still, you know, after looking at the Zgoras thing and watching Cotto get pasted, you know, across the canvas, I just this fight makes me a little squeamish, to be honest with you. You know, I know these guys need to make a big payday and go off into the sunset, but I'm not hearing good things out of the gym. I'm still hearing Marquez is getting some dizzy spells. You know, the Izzy in his eye and the way he cuts. I mean, I just don't know. I'm a little scared of it.
All right, well, that's it for this week's edition of TNR on behalf of Gabriel Montoya and the rest of Max Boxing. Till the next round, goodbye, everybody.